Hello and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS. I welcome you all to today's session of the daily quiz. Before we begin today's questions, there are a couple of very important announcements for all of you. As you know, the Target Prelims 2023 initiative is ongoing in its full speed. As a part of that initiative, we are now opening up our All India Test Series full-length test to each and every one of you. Starting from the 23rd of April, every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. You can now give this mock test, which will be a full-length test covering the entire syllabus. You will be able to get your All India rank and you will be able to see where you stand amongst the other candidates as well. Don't forget to register for this test by using the link given in the description of this video. Also, this Sunday, that is on the 23rd of April, 11 a.m., we present to you an amazing opportunity to win up to 90% scholarship on the BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS programs. All that you need to do is give the National Scholarship Test. It is specially for those who are preparing for the 2024 or further attempts. You will be able to see how prepared are you and you will get a chance to win this amazing scholarship. The link for the registration for this test also is given in the description of the video. Now let's begin with the first question. Consider the following statements with regards to a census exercise in India. Number 1. The decennial census is conducted by the Office of Registrar General and Census Commissioner, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Second, population census is a union subject under Article 246 of the Indian Constitution. And third, the information collected during the population census is so confidential that it is only available to the courts of law. How many of these given statements are wrong? Now, it's an interesting question because the census exercise has been a lot in the news. The government has been delaying it time and time again. Let's look at these statements one by one. The first statement is actually wrong because the Registrar General and the Office Commissioner don't work under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Rather, they work under the Ministry of Home Affairs. So the first statement is wrong. Second statement, population census is a union subject under Article 246. This is absolutely true. Third statement again is wrong. It is so confidential that the information collected under the census is not even accessible to the court of law. So even the courts cannot ask for this information as a part of any ongoing case. First and the third statements here are wrong. The correct answer here thus would be B. Two statements are wrong. Only the second statement is true. The reason why we're discussing this question is because now it seems that the census has been delayed even further and would take place after the Lok Sabha polls. The Lok Sabha polls, as you know, are scheduled to be held in May of 2024. Beyond this, as you know, the UN in its latest data has said that India has already taken over China as the world's most populous country. They are just awaiting the official confirmation from the Government of India from the official census. Next, question number 2. Consider the following statements with regards to Foreign Contribution Regulation Act FCRA. Number 1. It was enacted during emergencies 1976 amid apprehensions that foreign powers were interfering in India's affairs by pumping money into the country through independent organizations. Second, the FCRA registrations are granted to individuals or associations that have definite cultural, economic, educational, religious and social programs. Third, under FCRA 2022 rules, there is exemption from intimation to the government for contributions less than rupees 1 lakh. You have to tell which of these given statements about FCRA are correct. If you look at these statements, the third one is wrong because earlier the government used to give an exemption limit of rupees 1 lakh. So if you received less than rupees 1 lakh from any foreign entity, you were free to not tell the government. Now that limit has actually been increased to 10 lakh under the FCRA 2022 rules. So it's not 1 lakh anymore, it's now 10 lakh. First and the second statements are true. The FCRA law originally came into being in 1976. It has been amended multiple times as we see here. Thus, the answer here is C. 1 and 2 only are correct. The reason why we are discussing this question is CBI has registered an FIR against Oxfam India saying that they have violated the FCRA. The Ministry of Home Affairs that looks into the FCRA, they said that Oxfam India has been planning to pressurize the Indian government for renewal of FCRA through international institutions such as the World Bank, IMF, etc. Next, question number 3. Consider the following statements with respect to United Nations Population Fund. Number 1. It is a subsidiary organ of the UN General Assembly and works as a sexual and reproductive health agency. Second, it works directly to tackle sustainable development goals on health, education, and gender equality, SDG 2, 3, and 4. Third, in 1987, it was officially renamed as United Nations Population Fund, but original abbreviation UNFPA for the United Nations Fund for Population Activities was retained. Which of these given statements is or are correct? Now, it's a difficult question because this is not one of those agencies that you keep on hearing about. But the reason why this is in the news is because they have released the report about India's population having overtaken China. That is why we are discussing this. Now, the first and the third statements are true. Second statement is wrong because health is sustainable development goal number 3. Education is sustainable development goal number 4. While gender equality is sustainable development goal number 5. That is why the second statement here would be wrong. The correct answer here would be C. 1 and 3 are correct, while the second statement here is incorrect. As I said, it is the UNFPA report that has now said that India is all set to overtake China by mid of this year, and India's official census is just the official confirmation that might come out from the side of the government. The report also talks about the projections till how much time will India's population increase and by when should India expect the population to start declining. Next, question number 4. Which of the following nations share a border with Sudan? Libya, Egypt, Chad, Ethiopia, Kenya, or Nigeria? It's a difficult question, but you have to be aware of it because Sudan is a country that is in the news because of the ongoing civil war, where an Indian also reportedly has been killed. You need to know what are the bordering countries of Sudan. The correct answer here would be Libya, Egypt, Chad, and Ethiopia. These are the 4 countries that share a border with Sudan. In total, there are 7 nations that share a border with Sudan. Apart from these 4, there are 3 others. Let's look at the map. If you look at Sudan, the neighboring countries would be number 1, Egypt, Libya, Chad, CAR, that is the Central African Republic, then South Sudan, Ethiopia, and Eritrea. Sudan also borders on the Red Sea. So please do make a list of this. As you know, Sudan is undergoing a brutal civil war which has become unfortunately very common in Sudan's history. Every single year you would see some news coming in from Sudan about civil war taking place, and the same seems to be continuing even today. Next is the previous year question from 2021. With reference to palm oil, consider the following statements. Number 1. Palm oil is native to Southeast Asia. Second, palm oil is a raw material for some industries producing lipstick and perfumes. Third, palm oil can be used to produce biodiesel. Which of these given statements is or are correct? Now, usually we assume that because Southeast Asia countries such as Malaysia, Indonesia are huge producers of palm oil, so it would be native to Southeast Asia, but this is actually wrong. This is native to Africa and not Southeast Asia. If you know this part, you can easily eliminate all the other 3 options. The only one remaining is B. The correct answer would be 2 and 3. It is a raw material that has a lot of applications, including in the cosmetics industry. Apart from that, it can also be used to produce biodiesel as well. The correct answer thus has to be B. That is 2 and 3 only are correct. Next, we have a fact of the day, and today we want to discuss about some important Supreme Court judgments with respect to LGBTQ rights. As we know, the Supreme Court right now is hearing the matter about the constitutionality of same-sex marriage in India. With respect to that, there are many important cases of Supreme Court of the past which you must know. For example, it was in the Nalsa versus Union of India case where the court had agreed with all the arguments made by the petitioner, and the court upheld the right of transgenders to decide their gender and directed the center and the state governments to give legal recognition to their gender identity, such as male, female, or even the third gender. Similarly, all of you are very well aware of the K.S. Puttaswamy case, which made sure that right to privacy becomes a part of the fundamental right. This was a case in which the Supreme Court recognized right to privacy as a part of fundamental rights of Part 3 of the Indian Constitution and overruled the High Court that had given the decision against the LGBTQ people and their right to privacy. The court reiterated that sexual orientation is an essential component of a person's identity. Then we also had the 2018 Shafin Jahan versus the Union of India case, in which the Supreme Court overturned the decision of the Kerala High Court, where they had annulled marriage of a 24-year-old woman who converted to Islam and married a man of her choice. The ruling famously said that an individual has a right to choose one's partner and it is a part of fundamental right. Then we also have the Shakti Vahini case of 2018. This was the case with respect to Khap Panchayats. In this case, the Supreme Court recognized again the right to choose a life partner as a fundamental right in the Indian Constitution. Then the Navteej Johar case that you might have read a lot about in the past few months. This was a case in which the Supreme Court decriminalized homosexuality. And in the end, we had the Deepika Singh versus the Cat case. This was a case in which the Supreme Court decided in favor of a woman who was denied maternity leave for her first biological child on the ground that she had already availed the benefit for her two non-biological children. Non-biological children means children who have taken birth with the help of some other medical procedures. The court said that even in this case, the mother has the right to have maternity leave. These are the important Supreme Court cases with respect to the LGBTQ rights that have been heard in the past decade or so. This brings us to the end of today's daily quiz video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day ahead.